Hello, and welcome to our LinkedIn Live show, Demystifying Working with Microsoft. And I'd like to welcome everybody. If you're here and joining me live, please drop a note in the comments saying hello and let me know where you're coming in from, or you're dialing in from. And today we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is what makes a great Microsoft security partner. But before we get started, I wanted to share with you, unfortunately, our guest today, Rod Trent, who is going to join us from the Microsoft program management team, had an unfortunate fate of his internet service provider died. So he has no internet and won't be able to join us today, but we'll reschedule with Rod. But regardless, I got so many great questions. And specifically, I got one question that stood out from the bunch. And I'll start with that because I thought this question really touched on all of the components that I think you need to be aware of and be on top of when it comes to what makes a great security partner. Hey, Tony, thanks for joining from Rochester. Michael. Someone else, seems like Michael's having an issue with audio. If someone else can let me know they can hear, that would be great. Tony, if you wouldn't mind dropping a note in there. Anyway, we'll get started. Hey, Zybar. Milton, thanks for joining us from Florida. So again, we're going to talk about what makes a great Microsoft security partner. And to do that, I'd like to add a little bit of oh, great, Michael, I'm glad that you're able to hear us. So thanks for that. So I'm going to talk about really three pillars that make a great security partner, and it's going to be in response to this question. The question I got was, how can a new or small Microsoft partner that is providing managed security services, or what we refer to as an MSSP, effectively market and differentiate themselves in the security services space? It is a competitive marketplace. There are a lot of large players. You think of the really large ones like the Accentures and the Avanads, but there's scores of partners in this space. And I think that as a partner, you really need to understand that there's just a few things you need to do in order to be very successful as a Microsoft security partner. So I'm going to go through each one of these three components, and if there's any questions as I'm going through, just drop them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer. So first is we look at mindset. So, my background is that I've been in the Microsoft partner ecosystem for 15 plus years and worked at a number of different partners, including Modern Work Partners, AV type partners. And then back in 2015, I co-founded a Microsoft security partner. So this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And so that you can relate to the size and scope, when we first started that company, it was really small. It was, a few people, but we made a huge impact by focusing on first our mindset. So we went into every opportunity that we had with a win-win mindset. Not only win for us, but win for the customer, and equally as important was a win for Microsoft. So we had to have that mindset of, look, we're going to go in and we're going to make a win-win situation for everybody. We also had the mindset of extreme ownership. So it was really important, if you want to partner closely with Microsoft, you need to understand that even though you've got this win-win scenario where that's 50-50-50, everybody's getting a slice of the pie, when it comes to extreme ownership, it's much different. And what I mean by that is that you really have to approach the relationship with building your Microsoft practice of you're going to own the lion's share of the work. So in order to be valuable, a valuable partner, one of the aspects of that is taking on a lot of the heavy lifting. So, those are a couple of the thoughts around mindset, is that go in with a win-win mindset, knowing that it's got to be a win for you, your customer, and for Microsoft, and also that mindset of extreme ownership. So you're going in knowing that you're looking to partner with Microsoft, you're looking to generate business together with Microsoft, but that still means that you're going to be doing a lot of the work. So I just want to level set on that so that it's clear for everybody that just because it's an equal on the win, it's not necessarily equal on the level of effort. So with that, that's the first component, the first pillar that I think is really important to understand when you're going after business in the Microsoft ecosystem. The next component is around mechanics. So think of this as the price of entry, the price to play the game. And yes, you're playing on this field with the Avanades and the Accentures. And back in 2015, when I co-founded the security partner, there were lots of players in the space. It was early on in the Microsoft security journey, but there were still lots of great competitors out there. One that came to mind or comes to mind back then was SADA Systems. They were larger than we were at that time, but they were our direct competitor. They've since changed direction. They're no longer in the Microsoft ecosystem, but back then that was who we competed with. And we were in a very similar market space, going after very similar customers. We weren't necessarily going after the same customers as the Avanades and the Accentures. So, there's always going to be competitors. And for me, it was not about focusing on the competition, but it was about focusing on the customer. If I knew who my ideal customer was, I knew who I was best equipped to serve, I could differentiate myself. I could focus on the customer versus the competition. So, that's another area or aspect of building your Microsoft security practice is focusing on the customer. And although you need to be aware of your competition and be on top of what they're doing, that was never my focus in terms of, if they're doing X, I need to do X as well. It was all about what can I do to serve that customer the best I can. So, which leads me into the second component of the pillars is mechanics. So to play the game, you really need to understand the mechanics of how to partner with Microsoft. And a lot of this centers around the Microsoft Partner Center. So if you get a really deep understanding of Microsoft Partner Center, whether you're an MSSP or a deployment partner, and even in the ISV community, it's still something that you need to be aware of. And although there may be different approaches as an ISV, it's still important to understand the value of really maximizing the benefit that you get out of Partner Center and maximizing the exposure you get out of Partner Center. So things like the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program, it's critical that you understand what that is. It's critical that you understand how important it is to get your solution designations and to maintain those solution designations. So one thing to get them, but a completely different operational process to ensure that you keep those your solution designations. So think about first the skilling, which is obviously a big challenge for a lot of partners, is do you have the right people on the team and to get the certifications you need? And then operationally, how are you linking the work that you do to or for your customer to your Microsoft partner number, your MPN ID? That's very critical that you understand that. And I can appreciate that that's not always easy. Even back in 2015 when I was doing this, back then was still a challenge. It was still work to maintain those connections between you and your customer so that Microsoft was aware of the work that you were doing. And that's why it's so important to really master your Partner Center and build process around Partner Center, because it's one of the quickest ways, or the only ways really, that Microsoft, at least corporately, will see the impact that you're making as a partner. So I encourage everybody to look at Partner Center, understand how you're taking advantage of the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program, even as an MSSP, where you may not be doing some of the deployment work. You need to look at how can I still capture some of that recognition. So I'd encourage you to think about that. The other part of Partner Center that a number of my partners miss out on, and people that I work with or talk to, is lead sharing. And I've heard all kinds of different concerns around lead sharing with Microsoft, that partners weren't comfortable doing it because there may be some risk of that account getting out into the hands of other partners. And I can say in my 15 years of partnering with Microsoft, that has never been a problem for me. I've never seen that happen. So I would say that I would encourage you to move past the concern of um, entering leads into Partner Center and look at the benefit you get of that, which is those leads that you enter into Partner Center are shared directly with the Microsoft field. It's one of the quickest ways to get connected to the Microsoft field for the work that you're doing already, even in the early stages of prospecting and working an account. Being able to share that data is so critical. So those are just two of the areas that I would encourage you to focus in on Microsoft Partner Center. I alluded to operationalizing it afterwards. And what I meant by that was it's important and critical that you stay on top of the assignments you have within Partner Center. So think about, when you connect one of your customer deployments to your MPN ID, you have to maintain that relationship um, over the long haul so that you continue to get recognition for net new customer ads, you get recognition for performance. These are all things that, if you're in Partner Center, you'll see are a critical measure for your success. So if there are any questions about Partner Center, happy to field them in the comments. So feel free to drop them in there. And next, I'm going to talk about messaging. And this is, when I talk about messaging, I'm not talking about your customer-facing messaging. I'm not referring to your marketing messaging. I'm referring to your messaging within Microsoft. And this is really where I talked about and alluded to understanding my ideal client. You really need to understand who you're best equipped to serve, and your message for those people, your marketing message is going to be very clear around that audience. But you also need to consider the message you've got with Microsoft. So when you're talking to a Microsoft field person, first and foremost, you need to understand, are you talking to the right people? So Microsoft has an enterprise organization. They have what's referred to as SMC, or small to medium corporate business type customers. There's federal customers, there's not-for-profit customers. So you really need to be aware of and understand who you need to talk to and who you are talking to inside of Microsoft. And when you do that, then you can craft a message that's appropriate and relevant for them. And you can understand how they're measured. So are they measured on modern work? Are they measured on security? Is there a dual measurement where they're measured on more than one workload? So something that you need to consider around that. And as a security partner, Microsoft clearly delineates in the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program that there is a discipline around security, and there are sellers dedicated to selling the Microsoft security stack. So it's important to align yourself with those organizations that are focused on security. It's also important to consider the size of customer that you're working with. So if you're working with the Fortune 1000 companies, you are more likely to be aligned in the enterprise organization. Whereas if you're focused on those small or medium-sized businesses, 100, a few hundred employees, even a few thousand employees, you are more likely focused in what's referred to as the SMC group. And the SMC organization is horizontal in terms of they cover a number of different technologies. So one seller might be responsible for covering not only security, but modern work and Azure, versus the enterprise organization, where you may have a dedicated security seller that their only mission is to help customers protect their employees, protect their data. And those are going to be very important folks to know in the enterprise organization. But equally important is to know the people in the SMC group, where you may align depending on the size of customer you're going after. So those are the three sort of main pillars that I see as critically important for any Microsoft security partner, is that you have to have that mindset. You have to go into it with the mindset that it's a win-win for everybody. And to understand and really build your motions and your sales motions, you need to understand how is it a win for Microsoft and align your messaging to that, to the most important measures that the Microsoft seller or sellers or customer success managers are measured on. So that's number one, is mindset. Number two is the mechanics. You really have to understand how to operationalize your partner center account, how to maximize the benefits that you can get from that, the exposure that you can get from Microsoft Partner Center. And then finally is to align your messaging around the components that are most important to you. And that holds true for the MSSP community, is that you may not even be doing necessarily a deployment, but you are managing their Microsoft deployment. And from a security standpoint, are you contributing to Azure consumption through the usage of Microsoft Sentinel? Are you deploying Defender licenses or adding Defender licenses? So what is it that you are bringing to the table that's assisting the Microsoft field teams in hitting their goals? And then you need to build their messaging around that. It's so critical to ensure that you share that message in terms of what you're adding, the value you're adding to the Microsoft field team, and not necessarily just focus on what you may talk about with a customer. You obviously need to share that with Microsoft so they know what your superpower is, they know what you're great at, and what you bring to the market, and who you bring it for. But more importantly, as all of us, we're looking out for how do we succeed in our own roles. And for Microsoft, that's hitting their scorecard metrics. So be sure that you build your messaging around that particular win for Microsoft. So if there are any questions, I'll field them now. I touched on another question I got in the comments earlier, was around Partner Center and entering the leads in there. Who should be doing that? How often should you be doing that? So for me, I had someone that was on a weekly basis, or it was 2 or 3 times a week, was updating Partner Center. Some people choose to have individual contributors or sales reps to update it. And it's really up to you how you operationalize that. But whether it's on a batched basis or it's in real time, the important part is getting those leads into Microsoft. And for me, that's really, as I built the company that I co-founded back in 2015, it was really about building on all 3 of these pillars. So having that mindset. Everyone that came into our organization really understood the power of the mindset in terms of working with Microsoft and partnering with Microsoft. We built all of our sales motions around those mindsets. We were diligent about Partner Center and ensuring that it was always maintained. Part of that, and I'll touch on this, which was another question I got, was the different programs that are available. And for the new Microsoft Cloud Partner Program, again, it's important to have that solution designation, because that enables you to take advantage of some of the other programs that are out there, what we refer to as the build with intent programs, to qualify for those and to be able to nominate customers into those programs. So very important. It's one of the critical reasons that you need to maintain that solution designation. And I know we're in this interesting transition phase between gold and silver and the new Microsoft Cloud Partner Program and the 6 solution designations, but that will come to an end sometime in the near future. And it will really all be focused around the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program. So critical that you're aware of that you achieve that 70 points. And a side note on the 70 points is it's not just 70 points, it's 70 points having points in each category. So something for the non-traditional, maybe MSSPs that aren't aware of that, is the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program, and the 70-point delineation isn't just 70 points in one category, it's 70 points spread across all categories. And Tony, I see your question here. I'll share that. So we've got a question: is do you have an insight into co-sell opportunities when another third-party EA provider is involved? It's a great question, Tony, and it's one of the challenges in the Microsoft ecosystem is that, depending on who you listen to, there are in the neighborhood of 400,000 partners, of varying sizes and varying experience. But having said that, it's a crowded marketplace, and on plenty of occasions, I found myself working in accounts where there were other providers where we didn't hold the EA, or in the SMC group more recently, the CSP contract. So we had to find a way to work together. There was, depending on who held the EA, there could be a scenario where we were competing. But again, as I alluded to earlier, it's about focusing on the customer. What is it that you're bringing to the table? And there are going to be scenarios where Microsoft is already connected with another partner on an opportunity, but we never let that stop us. I mean, we still had a mission to deploy Microsoft, and to really focus on moving the yardsticks forward, both for Microsoft and for our business. So I never let the I don't want to say threat of a competitor, but the locator, or having a competitor in an organization that we were partnering with, I never let that stop. I would always focus on how do we move the customer forward. When it was a co-sell opportunity, if we were the partner with Microsoft, we would move forward and we would just partner with that EA in terms of the licensing. If there was additional licensing we needed to include, or we needed to add additional CSP licenses, it was that frenemies, if there's such a term, and we worked with them on many occasions, because for us back in 2015, it wasn't a priority to hold the CSP licensing contract. So I would regularly be in those opportunities. So I hope that answered your question, Tony. But co-selling with Microsoft is a great opportunity, looking at the different solution plays and bringing those solution plays that you've got to the Microsoft field, finding some people to partner with and take those co-sell opportunities to market is a great way to build any business, but specifically around the Microsoft security stack. I think it's an amazing opportunity. I think that there is so much opportunity in the Microsoft security space, not only greenfield opportunity, but opportunity to displace legacy competitors, people that have done or have legacy software deployed or legacy hardware deployed. I just think there's an amazing opportunity to get out there and get in front of the security sales and helping partners or helping customers become more aware of what Microsoft offers and take advantage of those deployment opportunities. Yes, exactly, frenemies. So that is what I wanted to share, and I hope that today I was able to share a little bit more about a little bit of insight into what makes a great security partner. Again, if you think of these three core pillars, they do apply across any type of partner, but specifically in the Microsoft security space, I think that we have such a great opportunity, again, not necessarily all greenfield, but a great opportunity to displace some legacy products with a much more robust and integrated solution for securing people's Microsoft deployments, their identities, and their data across their entire organization. So unless there are any other questions, I'll hang out for a moment more and we will wrap out. But we will reschedule with Rod because I'm excited to hear from Rod. I know that Rod brings some really exciting perspective. He's got a great insight into the Microsoft security stack. He's very active in the Microsoft security community. If you don't know Rod, he has a great blog. If you just Google Rod Trent blog, you will find it. And I'd encourage you to follow Rod. And we will look forward to hearing from him in the near future. I will set that up and let everybody know. So with that, thank you very much, and we will talk to you soon.